Hello there. Good morning. Boker Tov. How are you? I hope everybody's good this morning. The sun is shining. The birds are singing. Life is good right now. Well, this morning we want to talk about Vayechi. Last book in the last chapter in the book of Genesis. Say goodbye to Genesis. Bye. Next week we hit Shemot, Exodus story. The story that probably defines us as a people. Anyway, so what's going on this week? Well, Jacob blesses Ephraim and Messiah. You know, it's an interesting story. Some interesting facts going on here. It's the end of the patriarchs. It's Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. And from now on, and starting in the book of Shemot, we're called the children of Israel. Okay, remember Jacob's name was changed from Jacob to Israel after fighting with the angel at the brook. So now we're the children of Israel. So what happens here? Well, Jacob's Jacob, just saying, right? After 17 years in Egypt, he's 147 years old. Sure he is, okay? And he's dying. At 147, I would be dying too. He's dying. And he says to Joseph, "Promise me that you will not bury me in Egypt. When I lie down with my fathers, take me up from Egypt and bury me in their burial place." Joseph promises. Short time later, guess what happens? Jacob's dying. Okay? So, Joseph and his two sons, Manasseh, Ephraim, come to Jacob's room, okay, so that Jacob can give him the blessing, okay, the blessing of the children. Now, Jacob said to Joseph, "El Shaddai appeared to me at Luz in the land of Canaan and blessed me, and said to me, I will make you a fruitful and numerous. I will assign this land to your offspring to come for an everlasting possession." Does that sound familiar? That's what Abraham was told also. Okay. I will make a fruitful and numerous. And in Abraham's cases, you'll be as big as the stars and you'll be as wealthy as ever. Okay. Now El Shaddai, it's interesting that he says that, El Shaddai. This is the only time it's used. And you know, El Shaddai is the name for God, another name for God. But what's interesting about this is we use Shaddai on our mezuzahs. When you see a mezuzah, you see that shin. That's for Shaddai. Okay, we use God's name for Shaddai on our mezuzah. Interesting, huh? Okay. Jacob's eyes were dim with age, and he could hardly see. He said, "Bring them close to me, that I may bless them." Joseph brought his sons up close, and Jacob hugged and kissed them. Jacob put his hands on the boys' heads to bless them. He blessed, where is he? He placed his right hand on Ephraim's head, and his left hand on Messiah's head, and blessed Joseph, saying, the way in whose ways my fathers Abraham and Isaac walked, the God who has been my shepherd from my birth to this day, the angel who has saved me from all harm, bless the lads. Now this is interesting because the right hand goes on the older son and is the favorite child. The left hand goes on the younger son. So, supposedly. Well, what he did was he went like that. He crossed his hands and he put the right hand on the younger son. What's going on here? Sound familiar though? What happens with Jacob? Jacob tricks his father Isaac into tricking him, the younger son. So, and what happens with Abraham? Ishmael is the older son, but who's favored? Isaac. Isaac is the one. So, what's going on here? Okay, it's a pattern, right? So what the pattern is all the stories in Genesis echo this idea. The younger son is favored over the older. Isaac is born after Ishmael, yet Isaac is chosen to lead the Hebrews. Jacob is born after Esau, yet Jacob is chosen to lead the Hebrews. You getting a connection here? Okay. There's a pattern. And now Ephraim is younger, and Ephraim receives Jacob's blessing. Okay. Even in the case of Jacob's wives, Rachel is born after Leah, but yet Jacob always places Rachel and her sons, Joseph and Benjamin, first. Okay. So, this was not normal in ancient times. In ancient times, the older always got the goodies, always got the power, and always got the tribe. He took over the tribe. Okay? So, can we guess the reason? Our people are not the oldest, and we've never been the largest of nations. Even in the days of David and Solomon, our kingdom was never as great or rich as Babylon or Egypt. Among the nations, we've always been like a younger child. Yet we believe that we received God's special blessing, that one day we would be greater than the older kingdoms. Each time a younger child in Genesis receives a special blessing, it reminds us that even the small and young can be the most treasured, the most blessed. I think that's kind of cool. It's interesting how it works out that way. So, Jacob dies. Joseph honors his father's wishes, and he's taken to the land of Canaan where he was born, and he's buried there. And then when it comes time for Joseph to die, remember Joseph, so now all the brothers are worried again. The ones who sold him into slavery, yeah, those guys. Who told his father he was dead, yeah. So as soon as Jacob dies, they come running over to Joseph and saying, remember he's a big shot prince in Egypt, and say, hey, you still don't hold a grudge, do you? Even now that Dad's gone, you're not still holding a grudge, are you? And Joseph says, nope, trust me, I think it was God's doing. Okay? And he goes, what? Yeah. Okay, here it is. His brothers went to Joseph, flung themselves before him, and said, we are ready to be your slaves. But Joseph says, have no fear. Am I a substitute for God? Although you tried to harm me, God meant it for good, to bring the present result, the survival of many people. And so fear not, I will provide for you and your children. Thus he reassured them, speaking kindly to them. So the Torah says Joseph lived a long life after that. And when he was getting ready to die, he told his brothers, I'm about to die. God will surely take notice of you and bring you up from this land to the land that God promised an oath to Abraham, to Isaac, and to Jacob. So Joseph made the sons of Israel swear, when God remembers you, you shall carry up my bones from here. Joseph died at the age of 110, and he was embalmed and placed in a coffin in Egypt. Interesting. He was embalmed. We don't embalm. Okay? Egyptians, they embalmed. Okay? Remember, we don't embalm. You've got to be in the ground 24 hours, maybe 48 hours after you die. But in Egypt, they embalmed. You could lie in a state, or you could be mummified, whatever, mummified. Okay? So that's an Egyptian thing. So remember, Joseph considers himself an Egyptian because he spent most of his life, and he's got a wife, and he's got kids, and all that other good stuff. All right? So, what does this mean? The book of Genesis is over. Okay? This is how, and of course the Hebrews still live in the land of Egypt, and when we get there next week in Shemot, we'll find out what happens with the new Pharaoh. Okay? But this is what happens, and so we say, Hazak, Hazak, v'nitzazak. Be strong, be strong. Okay? Be strong, and may you be strengthened. Okay? That's what we say after we finish every chapter of the Torah. Okay? So, that's my story. I hope you learned something. I hope you enjoyed yourself. I hope you liked the book of Genesis. But you're going to dig Shemot. If you haven't read Exodus, you're going to like it. Because that's why we are who we are today. Okay, the children of Israel. All right, that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. I will see you next Tuesday for Torah Tuesday. Okay? Okay. Have a wonderful week. Peace out.